In this video, we are going to be going over how to divide fractions. When dividing fractions, we have a really handy rhyme that we can use to help us remember the steps. Keep, change, flip. Yeah, that's the action. Everybody's gonna know how we're dividing fractions. So this is the way that we can remember the rules for how to divide fractions. So let me show you how this works in an example. So here's an example problem. 2/3 divided by 4/5. So I'm going to follow these steps here to help me solve it. So I'm going to keep 2/3 the same, change this division to multiplication, so I'll change it. And then I flip this fraction here. So instead, it would be 5/4. And then all I have to do is multiply following the normal rules of fraction multiplication. I multiply the numerators. 2 times 5 is 10. And multiply the denominators. 3 times 4 is 12. So there we go. Now the only thing I have left to do is to simplify this fraction. So I think, what number can go into 10 and 12? Well, I can divide both of them by 2. So I will divide the top and the bottom by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. I can't divide it anymore, so this is as simplified as it can be. 5/6 is my answer. So when I do what I did here, flipping the fraction, there's a really special name that we call this when we flip the fraction upside down. This fraction here, 5/4, is the reciprocal of 4/5. The reciprocal is when you flip the fraction upside down. Here are 3 example problems for you to try on your own now. So follow the steps of keep, change, flip, and then write your answers down on a piece of paper. Solve these 3 problems. You can pause the video. Then once you have your 3 answers, play the video again to check your answers. So go ahead and pause the video now. These are the 3 answers you should have gotten. Make sure that your answers are completely simplified. 2 1/3. 1 1/14, and 1 1/4. If you got something wrong, go back and check your answers. Make sure you did it correctly. It's really helpful to write out each of the steps, the keep, change, flip. So that way you can see your work and know exactly where you might have gone wrong, and keep your thinking straight as you solve the problems. We are now going to practice fraction division when we have mixed numbers. So an example of this would be 3 4/5 divided by 2 1/8. So I'm going to still do the keep, change, flip like I did before, but before I can do this, if you watched any of my other fraction operation videos, you would have seen that I explained that when we are working with fractions, if we have any whole numbers in here like this, we want to get rid of them. We want to have just complete fractions. So we need to turn these into fractions. We want no whole numbers. So I need to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 5 to get 15. And then I add whatever that is, so 15. I add the 4 on top to get 19. So 3 4/5 is 19/5. I'll do the same with the other fraction. 2 times 8, 16. To this number, I add 1 to get 17. So 2 1/8 is 17/8. So now I have a new problem, 19/5 divided by 17/8. Now I can do the keep, change, flip because I have just 2 fractions, no whole numbers at all. So I'm going to keep, change, flip, and then just multiply like normal. 19 times 8, 9 times 8 is 72, 8 plus 7 is 15, so I have 152 over 5 times 17 now. 5 times 7 is 35, 5 times 1 plus 3 is 8. So 152 over 85. So now I think, how many times does 85 fit into 102? Or sorry, 152. So I know that if I have 82 times, that would be 160. 8 plus 8 is 16, so 80 plus 80, 160. So if I have 85, it's going to be something even bigger than 160. But I only have 152 on the top. So I know that 85 will only be able to fit inside of 152 one whole time. Let's figure out how much would be left over if I take out 85 from 152. 12 minus 5 is 7. 14 minus 8 is 6. So 67 over 85. And this is my answer. So the important thing to remember when dividing mixed numbers is first you need to change it to improper fractions, and then you just solve like normal. Then keep, change, flip. So here are 3 example problems for you to try. So just like before, pause the video, try the 3 problems. When you have your answers, you can play the videos again to check your answers. So go ahead and pause the video now. Here are the 3 answers that you should have had. 1 and 17 over 20, 2 and 2 over 123, and 1 and 11 over 59. If you got any of these wrong, check your answers and see where exactly you went wrong. Make sure you simplified the fractions completely and you change to improper fractions first, then you keep, change, flip, and solve, and then simplify if necessary. So check to see if you got any of these answers wrong. The last thing we will go over with fraction division is when we divide fractions in whole numbers. For example, you might have a problem like this. 3/5 divided by 8. If this is the case, just like I said earlier in the video, when we have whole numbers, we don't want that when we're working with fractions. We only want fractions. So I need to change this 8 wholes to a fraction. In order to do that, all I need to do is put it over 1, just like that. Now I have 2 fractions that I can work with. So I will keep, change, flip, and now I can just multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3, 5 times 8 is 40. And there we go, our answer is 3/40. Here are 3 example problems for you to try on your own now. So just like before, pause the video and solve, and then play the video again to check your answers. These are the 3 answers that you should have gotten. 5 over 72, 30, and 1/4. If you got any of these wrong, go back and check your answers to see where you made your mistake. And with that, that is the end of this video about dividing fractions. Hopefully with this little bit of extra practice, you have an even better understanding of how we divide fractions.